Beautiful day there from you two. And, well, I say this now. Of course, the show goes out at 8 o'clock at night. It's snowing outside. I don't know what's going on outside, I'm afraid. I mean, we could look through the window, but it's a bit dark in here. Anyway, you are listening to Let's Talk Sport. You're not listening to Michael Fish here at Calon 105 FM. Alongside me is Jack Price, Conor Porter, Joe Stanley, and Adam Davis. Adam Davis, I'm liking your Anthony Joshua t-shirt. Are you one of his trainers?
Yeah.
You are?
I most certainly am.
Oh, you are you?
That's why he's won so many. Yeah,
so Ginger is great.
Yeah.
That's good then. Well, high fives there. From I've no idea what's going on there. I was asking him to punch. There we go. Should we just start?
Didn't have a clue.
Should we just start over?
Yeah.
For a trainer, Adam, I'm a bit disappointed. Anyway, we must start off by talking about the football. We'll talk about the FA Cup from Sunday, which of course featured Chelsea at Leicester, and it was quite a good game actually. Leicester getting a goal back from Jamie Vardy. It was a great save, wasn't it, by Willy Cabrero, the first two, and then it just went, well, he couldn't stop that shot at the end from the rebound. And then at the end, Pedro getting the winning goal for Chelsea. Jack, it's an important win because this is after going out in the Champions League. Of course, it was always going to be a tough task to beat Barcelona at home. But do you think for Conte, there's still reasoning for the season because of the FA Cup?
Yeah, I think he said in his post-match press conference that he wants to right the wrongs of last season. He wants to get to the final again. Decent draw against Southampton. Could have been worse. Could have been Man U or Tottenham. Good draw. And like I said, he wants to right the wrongs of losing to Arsenal in the final last season. So if he wins the FA Cup, it's not a great season, but it's, you still get a trophy at the end of it, and it's better than nothing. So, yeah, we've got nothing to fight for in the Premier League anymore.
Top four? Well, it could still have a chance, but Conor, of course, Conte, a relief for him, if anything, because when that game went into extra time, make or break, really, for Chelsea's season and for maybe Conte's career at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah, Leicester City are a dangerous team, especially on the counter-attack. Vardy, Mahrez, of course, Vardy got the goal to send it into extra time, and they were very aggressive throughout that game until Pedro got that goal to put Chelsea ahead in extra time and send them eventually through to the semi-final. So, yeah, a good relief of pressure, really, for Conte now, because he's now still got an opportunity to play for a trophy this season after the Champions League elimination. And, of course, really, they're out of the Premier League title race right now. So, yeah, good for him that he's got a trophy to contend with. And let's see how he can do now, because, Southampton's still going to be tough. They did poor against Wigan in the first half, but then they bounced back in the second half and really playing well under Mark Hughes so far after one game. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how both teams do in the Premier League up to that semi-final, because then we get a better gist as who could go through to the final eventually.
Joe Stanley, of course, even though you are a Liverpool fan, and we did talk about Jurgen Klopp last week, which you didn't enjoy some of Jack's comments about him probably never ever winning the Premier League title while he's at Anfield, but maybe you can have a go at him now about Conte. If he had gone out of the FA Cup yesterday, there'd have been no trophies this season. But obviously, sadly in football, times go quick. People forget that he won the Premier League title in his first season in English football. Do you think his job could have been on the line after if they had gone out to Leicester?
Regardless of whether they win the cup or not, I think his time's up at Chelsea. Not personally, I don't think he should stay on. But you know what Roman Abramovich is like for sacking managers at Chelsea. No offence, Jack, but come on. How many managers in how many years? But
how many trophies?
Who buys them? Who wins them from playing national football? Who wins them
that's
from
how
buying
football
them?
works these days.
But the thing is, there's a stat that you'll like, Jack, that every time Chelsea beating Leicester in the FA Cup, they've gone on to win it. So that's an omen for you. You might go on to win it. Or you might get knocked out by the Saints. We know what that's like, being knocked out in the semi-final by Southampton. I was there last season.
I do like that, Joe. That's fair enough.
No, I was there last season when Shane Long put the ball in the net. It wasn't fun. But back to Chelsea. I think Chelsea got the best chance of winning the cup out the teams. Obviously, United or Tottenham. I could see an all-London final there because I don't think Southampton have got enough for Chelsea. They haven't in the league this season.
And they've got Premier League problems as well, haven't they, Southampton?
I think for Southampton, it's more important for them to stay up than win it. They don't want to do a Wigan, where they win the cup and then go down, because you look at Wigan, they've been bouncing between Championship and League One season after season, so that's not ideal for them. But I think with Chelsea will win the cup this year. But I'm not sure with Conte, with his comments about transfers and not getting the players that he wants and stuff. I think that's going to be his undoing, a bit like Mourinho. That makes sense, and we'll get on to Mourinho probably later with his heritage comments. And
We will do, don't worry, we won't miss that out.
But I do think that its time will be up for Conte. He has been heavily linked with a return to the Italian national team, so you never know in football.
What do you think of that,
I
Jack?
think if they were going to fire him, they would have fired him a couple of months ago.
Well, didn't they? Because, I mean, they had a statement, didn't they? Like, they were going to look at things after in March or, after the Barcelona game.
They're either going to part company as fair. They won't sack him because, like I said, they would have done that after we lost against. We lost 3-0 against Roma in the Champions League.
Yes,
and we were terrible in
that
that
was
match.
the away match.
Away match,
And you lost to Bournemouth
terrible
as well.
Yeah, we lost a few games in a row in the Premier League, and they would have fired him then, because we know what Chelsea are like. They just fire him when things aren't going well. So they stuck with him, and they will to the end of the season. Now there was that one against Watford as well, where he didn't look happy on the sidelines. So I don't think it's an issue. He was talking yesterday about what he wants for next season. So there's still talk of him being there, and I don't think that there are fickle fans. We all know that. Adam said that last week. That once a manager that you love loses a couple of games, you want him out. But I think the majority of Chelsea fans still want Antonio Conte in there. I still think he's a good manager. I don't think there's anybody else out there. Luis Enrique, I don't want him.
Yeah, well, that's the rumour, isn't it? The ex-Barcelona man.
Yeah, Thomas Tuchel as well has been linked.
But why? Why?
Yeah, I know what you mean, because I feel, I mean, we had it with Carlo Ancelotti at Chelsea, didn't we? Where
he shouldn't
won
have
the
gone either,
FA Cup and the Premier League first season, came second in the Premier League in 2011. But, come on, coming second to Sir Alex Ferguson team.
And who'd
you
bring
can't
in?
say
Is it Villas-Boas?
Villas-Boas, who was it was dreadful,
God.
and at Spurs.
Yeah.
But it seemed I keep thinking it's going to be like that again, where I think Conte should stay, but as Joe mentioned, Roman Abramovich has the reputation of sacking managers despite their success at the club. Jose Mourinho twice has been sacked because of his success.
Can I just bring up the transfer thing with Chelsea? There's the debate: who buys the players? Is it the manager or is it the owner? You look at Torres. Ancelotti said he didn't want to sign Torres for Liverpool for £50 million, but Roman Abramovich had it stuck in his head that he'd be the perfect striker for Chelsea. That's not a dig at how poor he was at Chelsea, because he was on the decline at Liverpool anyway. But he's gone out and brought the player that the manager doesn't want, and then it was like the same with Batshuayi. Conte doesn't want Batshuayi, so he's loaned him out.
Although he's doing
He's
really
doing
well.
really well in Dortmund.
But Abramovich wanted him. It's bizarre. Leave the transfers to the manager. That's what I say at the end of the day.
Surely, Conor, Roman Abramovich has quite a big say in it, because it's his money at the end of the day. It's all down to him to say yes or no. I'll give you the money for Torres. Or whatever.
Exactly. You make a good point. It is his money at the end of the day. He's invested a lot into the football club since taking it over in the early 2000s, and really progressing the side from what was a mid-table team to eventually a champions of Europe, little more than 12. 13
A
years.
decade, wasn't it?
A decade later.
Yeah.
So that's quite a transformation. It's not as quick as what City have done, but at that time, that was a really quick transformation for a football club, because we hadn't really seen anything like it before. And, a lot of people did say that Chelsea were the first team to actually buy the title. I don't actually like that kind of sentence, because I believe today football is a business more than anything else, and it proves today by the likes of Arsene Wenger staying at Arsenal for so many years. The fact that they finished in fourth consistently has managed to keep his job. So when we come to points of distribution of managers at football clubs, whether or not they get sacked or not per season, it just depends on what kind of the owner wants for that football club. They're the ones that set the targets for the managers that they bring in, and if the manager doesn't meet that target, then sure, they're sent off. So I'll be interested to know what Abramovich thinks of Conte's job so far this season, as to whether or not an FA Cup would be decent enough to keep him in the job. I think as long as they finish in the top four as well, I should see him staying on. There shouldn't be a problem with that.
I mean, I think I agree with you with that is football now. If you're going to be a big club, you've got to put money into it. It's like when you run your own business, you've got to put money into it for it to start.
Yeah.
And, even Barcelona are doing it now. They spent 100-odd million for Coutinho. And obviously
146.
Suarez was a lot of money. Real Madrid, we all know, are known for spending their money. I mean, even if it is from the government. It's definitely a bit of a limitless thing now, isn't it, for these big clubs, where they'll always have the advantage over these small teams. Anyway, we must move on. We will have a music break anyway. I think that's the end of that discussion. Quickly, after everyone, is Conte staying, Jack?
Yeah.
Conor?
Yeah, he's got to stay.
He
Joe?
should stay, but I think he'll go.
When you say go, do you mean
End
anytime
of-
soon or end of the season?
End of the season,
End of the
and then
season.
they'll replace him with Enrique.
If they win the FA Cup, is he staying?
He should, but knowing Abramovich, he'll probably end up sacking him because of the disagreements with transfers.
Okay.
He nearly went last summer, remember that.
Ginger? I mean, Adam?
I hope he stays. I reckon they could get rid of him, but I think they should give him a few more years like they did with Mourinho. Mourinho had quite a long spell there.
Well, no, he had 3 years.
Yeah, 3
Yeah.
years.
Actually, he
But
never
then
year
again,
left.
He,
Well,
he
yeah,
left,
yeah, yeah.
and then he came back again.
Has the manager stayed at
Yeah,
Chelsea?
oh, yeah.
Has the manager
No, he
stayed
gave
at
him a
Chelsea?
few more years, really.
Has the
When
manager
you
stayed
think
at
about
Chelsea
it.
for more than 3 years or not in the last?
I don't think they
How
have.
long was Ranieri for?
He must have been. I think he was 4 tops maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it 2000 to
before-
2002 or 3?
Yeah,
That was before
that was
they went
when Abramovich
really
bought him.
crazy on the transfer market.
That was it.
Because
yeah.
then that's when they got check-in and
Yeah,
everyone
Abramovich
like
came in and then he got rid of Ranieri, didn't he,
Yeah.
and brought Mourinho in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah.
How many? Has he only been here for 1.5 years now, hasn't he, Conte?
Yeah, well,
So
20,
it's not
yeah,
like
2016.
3, is it? So I reckon he'll stay at least for next year and half of the season.
I honestly, I'm loving the specification.
just half
but,
the season.
But in all fairness,
That basically
thing is that-
means Adam thinks you're going out the Champions League in the group stages.
But it fits
no, no,
for
no.
3
What he's
years.
trying to say is that you might be in the League Cup still, but
Yeah.
that's it. That's
Yeah,
when the
it just
competition.
fits for the 3 years. If they give them the 3 years, then that would fit within the 3 years.
The ridiculous statements have already started.
It's been 15 minutes. Actually, it was 13 minutes.
I
last
don't
time.
think it's that ridiculous, though. To be fair,
Well, I mean,
because
you might be right.
it sums up with the 3.
Adam,
I mean,
No, I'm not.
they
saying that.
have got
I'm
rid of
just
managers
saying,
between a season before.
I'm just saying your
So-
half season prediction is fantastic, and I love it. already.
Adam, what I'll say is that if you get it right, you can look back at this footage and share it with everyone and say, I was
I'll
right.
have a go at everybody saying that I was right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mr. Wright, we have to move on and have a music break. We'll be right back on Calon 105 FM. Now, our first song of the day. Now, this one, I didn't pick it. I've never heard of it. But hey, let's have a go. That's Dancing in the Mo, unless you're Mo Farah, which would match him, I guess, from Top Loader. Let's have a listen. Dancing in the Moonlight. And there's me thinking it was Dancing in the Mo. Maybe Mo Salah. I thought of Mo Farah. He's gone in the past. It's all about Mo Salah now. We'll talk about him in the show later on. And we must move on to the next topic, which is, well, the press, probably one of the most famous press conferences we'll ever see in football, maybe, because of, I mean, it's Jose Mourinho, of course, he creates this all the time, but it was 12 minutes of him speaking. The journalists actually had their mouths shut, which sounded great. But I must move on from that. But it was the fact that he had 12 minutes about, after what happened against Seville, they went out in the Champions League of the last 16. And of course, he had a lot to say about it. Sadly, we don't have the recording of it, but if you go on YouTube, if you've got 12 minutes to spare, watch it before you go to bed. It is quite a press conference, especially for those who were there. It was all about football heritage, though. He was going on about comparing stats over the last few years since Fergie pretty much left. He was pretty much bringing out facts, saying that he's doing better than Van Gaal and David Moyes was, which in all fairness to Moyes, he only had 10 months. It wasn't a great season, but he only had 10 months. I mean, what do you guys think of it? I know you want to start, Conor, because I have a feeling you've got quite a lot to say about this.
Yeah, I mean, Jose Mourinho, for me, ever since his second Chelsea tenure, he's just been going downhill each and every year for me. I mean, it started a little bit at Real Madrid, but it feels to me now that he's so arrogant in himself that he believes he's doing nothing wrong, and it's just always someone else's problem. It's someone else's responsibility that's causing these problems at a football club. It's been Luke Shaw's problem at United now for the past, must be a year and a half. And to me, that's just plain ridiculous. You can't blame the player too much for what United is in their situation at the moment. They had that training ground scuffle or something like that. But the interesting to note of it is to how much of his statement is correct, and then whether or not the heritage of the situation is true or not. And I think, for me, Mourinho needs to step up his game a bit more and take more of the responsibility, push him forward, especially with the Champions League exit. You know, the draw that they got for the Champions League, a lot of European sides would have taken that. You know, to go Seville away first and then take the second tie at home, it should have been a dream for them to go through in that opportunity. But it was something like Seville had 22 shots on goal and United only had 4 throughout the entire game. That's, to me, is tactically wrong. So Mourinho needs to step up and really take the responsibility. And then after the Brighton game as well, saying that, we still won, but we still played really poor. Yeah, I agree with that statement, but you need to step up your game in terms of tactics and say, yes, it was my fault for starting Luke Shaw early in that game, so I had to take him off at halftime. Instead, he ripped into him, and it was just like, it's not right for a football club of Manchester United's stature for that kind of blame game. And you have to start and think, what are the goals in terms of targets for Mourinho at Manchester United Football Club? I was listening to a radio station on the way here, and they were saying Edward Woodward probably thinks Mourinho only needs to get Champions League football every single season for him to keep the job. He did that last season through winning the Europa League, and he's probably going to do this season through finishing second. But to what point do now Manchester United fans feel it's acceptable for Mourinho to push forward if they're not winning any trophies? And for me, that's the question that needs to be answered by Edward Woodward. Because now United are going to start slipping down the table just like Arsenal did in that kind of situation. The targets drop, so the performances drop, and the players that are coming in, aren't to the same level as what they were in the past. You only have to look at really the last transfer window of United to really adjust to what they are pushing forward. Lindelof, in terms of defenders, is not good enough.
It's not worked.
It's always been attacking for Mourinho since he's arrived. So he's only got himself to blame in those problems, and that's what he's not doing. He's not blaming himself for the problems, and I think that's the main true problem for him.
Jack, how do you feel about this? Because I must admit, when seeing those Mourinho interviews this week, it reminds me of Van Gaal in a way. Because Van Gaal it got to him, didn't it, when he was at Man United, where the press started to, let's be honest, criticise his job, especially in the last season. Van Gaal started to burst out with his emotions, which I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that, but I don't think in terms of your job, it's not going to look good in terms of mentality and in front of your players, because you are the leader of those players. It's all down to you. If you've got a negative, I'm just saying this in any job. If your boss or leader is negative throughout the whole time, then it's surely for the people underneath him, they're going to not feel any better.
Well, he's weird. It's weird in a way because he's had 2 different sides of him. You see it in all different clubs he's been at. He's either really nice, and I think that's when he gets the best out of them, is when he tries to protect the players. He did it in his first couple of seasons. He did it in his first season in his second tenure at Chelsea, and obviously they won the league. So it obviously works.
That's an interesting point.
And he did it in the first stint as well, and at Real Madrid as well, because in the first seasons he always does really well because he settles in, gets to know the players.
And then the second season he's normally winning the league.
Yeah, well that's it. And he sort of looks after the players, protects them if they get a defeat or if something's going on in the media. He tries to keep it low down, but then suddenly he just switches it up and starts blaming the players, and he does it to try and get a kick out of them and go, right, I want to prove the manager wrong. But if you do it so many weeks and months in a row, it just knocks the players down a bit, and they're like, oh, you know what, I can't be bothered, listening to this. And that's how he got kicked out of Chelsea in his second tenure, because the players had just gone, we've had enough of.
And even the footage of Diego Costa throwing the bib in his direction.
Yeah,
showed
so
it,
we've had
really?
enough of we've had enough of hearing your negative comments, and I get.
But yeah,
that.
again,
And
Diego Costa doesn't like anyone.
Well, no, did you see that thing he put on the other day
Yeah.
where he scrubbed Conte's name out? Right, okay. We don't really need you anymore. I mean, great player,
Disrespectful
but,
player.
Yeah, we don't need that. But yeah, I think the thing is with Mourinho as well is that when you bring in a manager like him, Manchester United want a long-serving manager, a bit like Alex Ferguson. Mourinho, 3 years, and he sort of looks like he's had enough. How do you keep him
He did sign
interested?
a contract.
Yeah, but he signed a contract at Chelsea for a
Yeah.
long period as well, and they either sack him or he has enough. So it's interesting what United are now going to do and their targets with him, because
Okay, I'm a United fan, and don't get me wrong, United fans are not happy. But I just feel like, is this only talked about because, you're right, Conor, a lot of teams would love a Seville match in the last 16, particularly Man United being one of the biggest clubs in the world. all I can say is that I feel as though everyone's overreacting to a bad result. I know you're saying no. I know some of you are. I honestly think, because I'm not having to go at you, Joe. It's just because I began it on Twitter. Liverpool fans are loving it. Can I just say they are loving it? But my problem is that Mourinho in his first season won 2 trophies. He won 2 trophies. Okay, the League Cup is the poor man's FA Cup, and the Europa League is the poor man's Champions League.
Where you're going to go with this, and I feel like I want to stop you right here.
Go on, seriously, go ahead.
Because I want to say you can't compare Manchester United to Liverpool right now.
No, I agree. But what I'm trying to say is that Liverpool fans and Man United, what I'm saying is that Man United, don't get me wrong, the team isn't there. It's not fully there. The team's not there because Jose Mourinho has already lost the dressing room, and he's only halfway through his second season.
Yeah, but I agree with Jamie in the fact that in these 2 seasons, would I rather see my team play fantastic football and won nothing, or seen them play defensively and won 2 trophies? However bad they are, I'd rather have my team win 2 trophies because it's trophies in the cabinet.
The problem is with that, Mourinho's not done enough defensively to back that point. He's playing with the same players that he had last season, and the depth and the quality of the squad that he's got, he's complaining about it. Do something about it then in the windows.
I think my problem is with Mourinho is that I still don't think he still doesn't know his best 11. That's my
problem.
That is a problem, and it's March, which is a very long time in the football season now. And the other day, Paul Pogba didn't start against Seville, which
I think he's lost him already.
That's the one worry I have. But it's just little things like that where I know there's times where any manager can have a problem with a player, but I always think
what's the name of the first team coach, Rennie Mollenstein or something like that? Yeah. He was on the radio this morning, and he said when Fergie was at the football club, they never had a situation where where Fergie addressed the first team coaches in a negative manner over the 7 years that he was at the football club as the first team coach. I bet you any money that Jose Mourinho has already had several problems with his first team coaches over that first year and a half that he's been at United. And I think that's the major problem with Jose Mourinho. He just can't take the blame. He feels invincible. That can't be happening at United.
I mean, some of the coaches he's had with at Chelsea and Real Madrid, though, hasn't he? Yeah, exactly. So they must be used, in a way, they must be used to it, and I'm sure they can say to Mourinho what they think what is happening as well. Because obviously Mourinho, it's all down to him what happens.
But these days as well, you can't address players like that either.
No,
because in the world of football now, it's just full of money. And, you can just turn to your agent and I'm not putting up with this anymore. It's the same. It's probably the same with what Diego Costa was doing over those times.
Can I just say, we're all having a go at Mourinho here. But look at Man City. Okay, they're top of the league. And to finish, if they finish second to Man City, that's more of an achievement
than
any other team, I think.
It's almost a 15-point gap.
Because look how much money that Man City have got. And look how their form's being.
United's spending the same kind of money in the windows. It's not good enough.
They might be, but they've got the better players, City. If they finish second to Man City, that's a better achievement than anybody else in that league.
I will say this season, in my eyes, the Premier League has been one of those where it's kind of like Leicester when they won it. It is the team who won it. No. Let me just say. The team that has shown up in every game is Man City. Let's be honest. They are one of the best teams we've ever seen.
There's a major difference, though, between this season and the Leicester season. In the Leicester season, no one performed, and Leicester took advantage of it.
That's what I mean.
In this season, though, everyone is pretty much performing. Look at Liverpool's
so
winning
United.
Streak. They've been absolutely fantastic this season.
Yeah, but so are United. They're above Liverpool.
Yes, but your point
Spurs are playing well.
The Klopp hasn't lost the dressing room. Jose Mourinho with United has. Otherwise, if Klopp had lost the dressing room, they would have got eliminated in the Champions League to Porto.
But no, I don't think no.
Because Porto and Seville are basically on the same level. Seville have been thrashed in the Liga by 5-0 on 3 separate occasions this season to teams, to Atletico Madrid, to teams that are under par to what they should be in the league. So it's basically on the same level as Porto, because Porto pretty much, to my memory, either them or Benfica dominate the Portuguese league. So the difference is between what City are doing this season compared to Leicester is Guardiola has brought in a new type of football and has set the new benchmark basically for the season of Premier League. Yeah. That is the level that all Premier League contenders need to play with to reach that kind of standard. I think Liverpool throughout half the season weren't up to that standard, but now they're starting to catch up a little bit. And you have to look at their win streak and how happy the players are in that under that.
But United still beat them.
Can I just say?
One
just
game.
say-
It's the
Yeah,
same
one game, half
situation
game,
as
one
in-
game.
As
Go on.
United beat Man City this season.
Sorry, say
As
that
United
again.
beat Man City this season.
No, we lost.
No, they haven't yet.
No, we lost.
Oh, we lost. So I thought you've won in one of them.
No.
No.
Liverpool. In all fairness, Liverpool the only
took
team
the
to have
game
beaten them.
to Man City.
Yeah.
But the way Manchester United play, I think it's quite good. Because they're sitting back, they're absorbing the pressure, and then they're hitting them.
I'll have
They're
to
not
be-
hitting them though because they got eliminated.
I'll be honest. United's football
They
could be.
struggled to score 2 goals against Brighton in the FA
Yeah.
Cup.
Well, I'll say this now. We're second.
home. At home.
Look. In my eyes, United. I've said it before. United are not a full squad. Obviously, we're nowhere near. But I will say this now. Second to Man City. I agree with Adam. It's an achievement. I agree with you. The comments he is saying. No. I know, but everyone else is behind them. We're not the only ones here. Chelsea have.
That's what I mean.
Chelsea. I mean, Jack can face
It's the
it.
new
Chelsea.
benchmark. No.
No.
You're not
Let
listening
me.
to my point.
Yeah. I
It's
get
the
the
new
point.
benchmark.
But there's nobody
United
else.
haven't met it.
Yeah, but we're not the. Yeah, so Liverpool haven't. Tottenham haven't.
They're spending the same
Yeah, but
amount of money in the windows.
Yeah, don't
Tottenham
get-
isn't spending
they're
the same amount of
spending
money in the
they're
windows.
spending a lot of money.
Well,
They won the league last season.
Can I-
They
Yeah,
haven't won the league since Fergie was in charge.
Yeah, but look at them.
I'm
trying to
loving this.
defend.
I'm loving this. Can I just jump in? You're saying about the Liverpool fans that loving it on social media. United fans do the same to Liverpool. You got to give and take. So you just got to have a hard skin about it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, whoever took over from Moisey didn't last 10 months, did he? Whoever took over from Ferguson was going to have a hard time. So Moisey had a hard time.
Yeah,
The same with
yeah.
Van Gaal. In the years after Ferguson, you had 26 years?
26 years.
26 years of Ferguson winning trophy after trophy. It was going to come to an end, and whoever took over was going to have a hard task to live up to it. And then, obviously, when Fergie left, the team declined because they were on the decline. Ferguson was getting the players out, the best out of the players, but the team was on the decline.
In
You
terms
lost
of age,
Vidic, you lost Vidic
average
and
age,
Ferdinand at the end of that season.
average age,
the age was
yeah.
going up and all that lot. So United were on the way down. It was always going to drop. We had our periods in the 70s and 80s, and then we dropped out. United had their periods in the 90s, early noughties. They were going to drop down. Now it's City's turn to do the same.
I'll say this. You know what? I'll say this. When you say that, let's look at the three managers: Klopp, Guardiola, and Mourinho. Guardiola's had the money, and Guardiola's had the money. He's got the club that can buy him any player in the world. Let's be honest. Mourinho is pretty much in that same position. I agree with you, Conor. It's a lot of money. And this is where I'm going to... This is a United fan saying this about Liverpool. Look at Klopp. He has made the most out of every player he has got in front of him. The only problem is the defence. I think Liverpool can be a very good team. And I'm not saying they won't win the Champions League. It's going to be a long stretch if they can do it. But I look at the three managers where I think Klopp is better than them two most of the time because Klopp is making the most out of his... Look at Mo Salah. It's incredible what he's doing. Firmino is playing with you. Mane was from Southampton.
An interesting
And then
thing-
you've got Pep Guardiola buying players that are blatantly obvious. And then you've got Mourinho.
Yeah.
I mean, Pogba was a lot of money. That was ridiculous. And look at the players.
Yeah. Can I make a point? Like you two said last week that Klopp's not good enough. He's not going to win the title. He's not good enough to manage a big club last week. Can I just make a point, though, that if he wasn't good enough, why did United target him in 2013 to be manager?
Yeah.
He's in Honestein's book.
In all
Stop Bring the
fairness-
Noise.
in all
Why
fairness-
did Tottenham target him?
it's-
Why did City target him as
In
manager?
all fairness-
he didn't
It's
join the
not-
club because
it's
it
not-
wasn't a right fit for them.
It's not Klopp. It's the way that Liverpool Football Club works in terms of what you said. Because you said that they constantly work in the windows to meet evens on their spend and net spend, and they basically don't make a huge loss. That's the difference, really. And it's not to say that Klopp's a bad manager. We're not saying Klopp's a bad manager, but he's not going to win a title at Liverpool if it's underneath that kind of transfer structure because they're not bringing in those kind of players.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's not to say that Klopp's a bad manager. You stick him in the city, in the city structure, and he's winning the league. You can basically stick most managers in that city structure, and they're going to win the league. That's the kind of structure that a lot of Premier League teams need to follow. But the difference between what Guardiola's doing at City and what Liverpool's doing with Klopp is the way that Guardiola plays, and he's shown that throughout Europe to be a success. Klopp, as good as a manager that he is, he's only won one league title. with Borussia Dortmund. Two league titles, Borussia Dortmund.
2 titles,
And
and
a
he won,
Champions League
and he won their
final.
first ever double in 2012, and then he took him to the Champions League
But
final in
look what
2013.
Guardiola's managed to do at Barcelona
Yeah,
and
but
Bayern Munich.
hang on a minute, isn't Dortmund kind of
now
like
it's City.
Liverpool though? Because they don't spend a lot of money either.
That's the same situation.
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Because
look
they
at
sold this-
Barcelona's squad, and look at who else has he managed?
But that's what I mean.
Pep,
That's what I mean.
Bayern
It's the
Munich.
structure of the
Look
football
at their
club.
squad in comparison. Borussia Dortmund had players who they built. They didn't have good players from the start. They built them up
But so
to
did
be
Barcelona.
good players.
Yeah, no, that's what Connor's saying.
Cruyff.
I mean, the Barcelona team a lot of it was from the academy.
That's what I mean. It's
yeah,
the structure
but-
of the football club, and that's what United currently don't have because what is it? Tomine and Rashford. That's it,
And Lingard.
and Lingard.
Yeah. But that's a lot of people. I'll say this now. I
The rest
agree.
is
In the
spend, and
in
it's
the
been
past,
terrible spending.
in the past, Mourinho has not played youth players, but he's given Rashford a go. Lingard's been one of our best players in my eyes.
Giving Rashford a
McTominay.
go? Are you serious about that statement?
He started Rashford against Liverpool.
Well,
That's the
probably
whole
the
De Boer
fir-
comment
the
about-
the first time since Boxing Day.
The whole
Yeah,
De Boer
but
comment
last
was
season
about
he brought
Rashford.
him in.
Rashford's not going to go any far under Mourinho. That was what De Boer's row with him was. The problem with Mourinho is
The problem
like you
is-
said,
The
his
reason
arrogance.
He's only played
His arrogance
McTominay
is his
as
big
well
problem.
because of the injuries to Matic, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
No, Matic has been playing pretty much every game.
Wasn't he?
McTom-
Who was the injured one?
No, McTominay's been playing nearly every game.
Was it Pogba then? I swear, someone.
No.
one of the defensive midfielders was
McTominay's
injured.
been playing since like September. Seriously, McTominay's
I
had a lot of
swear
games.
one of the defensive midfielders was injured. Maybe it was Herrera or something.
They've only got
It might have
2.
been Fellaini.
I don't
but
rate
I don't
Herrera
know.
anyway, but
But the
that's
rotation-
No, Herrera's is pretty poor.
It only comes into play in terms of rotation for Mourinho to play youngsters,
Yeah.
and that's the problem with him.
The thing with Mourinho is he set the tone for his managerial career and he coming to Chelsea. It's fantastic when like for the press when he called himself the special one. But that set the tone for the rest of his career then.
Yeah.
It was good at the time, but now it's come back to bite him. Because he's supposed to be the special one. He's supposed to be able to be the one that fixes the clubs, makes them amazing. He's come to United. He won 2 trophies last season, but then he's on the decline. He does this thing. There's a pattern emerging. He stays at a club, wins trophies in the first season, gets a new contract. He's got a 5-year contract.
Yeah.
Second season doesn't go so well sometimes, unless his first part at Chelsea where he won the title again. But the second season doesn't go so well. He starts blaming the players, starts blaming his staff, starts blaming everyone by himself, blames the board. And then all of a sudden he's sacked, big payoff, move on to next club. Same again. Same
I
again.
wish- I
he
must-
only stays for 3 years. Real Madrid he stayed about 4-5 years, but normally
It wasn't even 4,
No,
I
was
don't
it, was,
think.
was it not even
only
4?
3.
Am I
It was
wrong?
only
Was it
3.
3 years again?
Yeah,
So he
yeah.
stays it for 3 years. It's the same thing again, the same pattern, and it's working with United now.
I would like to hear more from you, Adam, but
Could I just say,
oh, go on
could I just say
quick.
though, it seems to be then now at the moment, Mourinho's become a bit of a journeyman manager.
Journeyman? No. I would go aggressively against that point, but I feel as if you need to
Well,
take control.
it's a shame we didn't do this on Let's Talk More Sport on our YouTube channel. We should have done that as our feature. We've talked about it for at least 20 minutes. Anyway, we must have a music break and move on from the subject. But of course, you lot can comment at home on our Facebook page, Twitter page. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Let's Talk Sport 12. Facebook, just search Let's Talk Sport. We'll have a music break. It's Sweet Disposition from the Temper Trap. This is a great song, especially when you're at a football match. It's great in the stadium, this song. Anyway, enjoy. Sweet Disposition there from the Temper Trap. What a song that is. What a discussion we just had about Jose Mourinho. And if you did miss it, of course, you can go onto our YouTube channel. That's Let's Talk Sport. Give us a subscribe and be sure to check out our videos in the future, including our pole position podcast, which we've just recorded for our YouTube channel, previewing the new F1 season. We cannot wait. Australia is this weekend, folks. Anyway, we must move on. It's football again. We're going to talk about the England squad. Now, this was the squad to be announced last week. That was to face Holland and Italy. It's quite ironic, isn't it, how we've got 2 big teams coming up and they're both not in the World Cup. It's typical, isn't it? England have done well there getting those 2 teams to get matches for, but sadly, they're both not going to be in the World Cup. Oh, dear. Anyway, these are the goalkeepers: Joe Hart, Jordan Pickford, Jack Butland, Nick Pope. We have defenders of Kyle Walker, Kieran Tripper, Ryan Bertrand, Danny Rose, John Stones, James Tarkowski from Burnley, Alfie Mawson from Swansea City, Joe Gomez and Harry Maguire. We've got the midfielders of Eric Dyer, Jack Wilshere, Jordan Henderson, Jake Livermore, Adam Lallana, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, Dele Alli, Raheem Sterling, Ashley Young, Jesse Lingard, Lewis Cook, and then the attackers are Danny Welbeck, Jamie Vardy, and Marcus Rashford. Obviously, if you're wondering why Harry Kane's not there, let's remind ourselves he is injured. He's injured. Don't worry, Gareth Southgate isn't that stupid. But in all fairness, I quite like this. We're seeing Tarkowski in there. We're seeing Alfie Mawson in there. I'm a big fan of Alfie Mawson. I think he's worked very hard for Swansea. He's been proven one of their leaders of the team, if anything. Straight away, Conor, I look at that and think, Gareth Southgate is giving opportunities to the unlikely names out there. And who knows in these 2 games against Holland and Italy.
Yeah, I mean, it's only 2 games, though, and it's quite an unusual squad of players that haven't played for England and those that are well experienced. I mean, I feel as if Cahill should have maybe got a place in that squad, considering he's playing in the World Cup in the summer. Because I wouldn't expect Alfie Mawson or I always forget the name of him.
James Tarkowski.
Yeah, Tarkowski. Yeah. I wouldn't expect them to start over Cahill, despite how well they're playing in the Premier League, especially in the case of Tarkowski with the form that they've been on at Burnley and the fantastic defence that they've got there. Danny Welbeck as well, a bit of a question mark for me surrounding his name. Of course, this was before he scored the 2 goals in the Europa League against AC Milan. But then again, one of those was basically a tap in from 2 yards away, and the other, I think, was a penalty or a missed penalty. Missed penalty on that one occasion. Yeah, Danny Welbeck for me, not too sure. But then again, not a lot of other attackers to pick from. But the one submission that I was quite concerned about was Glenn Murray, considering the fact that he's got quite a lot of goals for Brighton this season in the Premier League. I think it's quite disrespectful to not recognise what he's managed to achieve, and you're picking Danny Welbeck over him because it's just same again. What I was mentioned last week, just the influx of wide players coming into the squad. It's not no out and right attacker other than Jamie Vardy really, because Rashford still plays on the left every now and then. So yeah, Jake Livermore as well. I'm not getting that. Not
one.
Rating that either.
No. Who I'm quite surprised who hasn't made the England squad?
Go on.
Is it Sandro who plays for Bayern Munich? He is an English player.
You mean,
he's just gained.
Borussia Dortmund, I think it is.
I actually didn't know he was an English player.
Borussia Dortmund. Sorry, Borussia Dortmund.
I thought Adam was just talking rubbish again.
And he's managed to gain a number 7 shirt.
He has, yes.
So I am quite surprised that he's quite a regular now. I'm surprised that they haven't given him a shot.
Yeah, he took over Moussa Dembele when he went to Barcelona,
and that's quite a big role.
Yeah. Reaching on Adam's point a little bit. Ryan Sessegnon at Fulham been pretty well in the Championship. He's been rated to be like £50 million worth by a lot of Premier League clubs at the moment. So
I mean, what an opportunity!
He certainly would be better than half of the left backs on that list. Certainly would be better than playing Joe Gomez, in my opinion. I think he's been better than him if you look at his way that he's playing in the Championship.
Let's get Joe's thoughts on that. I mean, Joe Gomez for Liverpool.
How many times
squad?
has he started in the Premier League?
Yeah, but Joe Gomez isn't a left back, so that point is mute.
Well, it's still the kind of wing back position.
Oh,
he plays. He's actually a centre back. Joe Gomez is.
So he's not starting then.
Liverpool deploy him on the right as well because he can play. He can play across the back foot, but he's not a left back. He's actually a centre back. Joe Gomez. But there's a difference. There's a difference though between the Championship and the Premiership. There's a big gulf in class. Yes, Ryan Sessegnon has been good. He's been linked with Liverpool, Tottenham, Arsenal, Chelsea, etc. I think Chelsea. Remember rightly?
Oh, we're linked with him.
He's been linked with the top 6 clubs in the Premier League. Yeah, he's a good enough player, but I'm not sure he's quite ready to make the step up from under 21s. But Joe Gomez, he's one of those. He's borderline for me.
But it's a good opportunity.
I think Joe Gomez isn't a centre-back as such because I don't think he's big enough for centre-backs muscularly. He's not. But he fits the left-back and the right-back, I think. But he's not got them muscular ability.
Is he weak like we said last week?
No, I'm not saying he's weak.
Is he weak like Sterling?
No, I just don't think he's got like the muscles like you see with like Cahill if he was starting for him, or Stones or whatever if they were in. Yeah, he hasn't got the strength that they have.
I don't think Cahill should be in there.
I think Gary Cahill's been awful.
He's been awful. Is this the first Chelsea? Is this the first England team that hasn't got a Chelsea player in it for a long time?
I'm pretty
sure we have.
You know what? That's really bad.
Because we've only got Cahill and Drinkwater.
No, you don't have Ryan Bertrand anymore. I keep thinking you still have it.
Bertrand, no.
No, there's nobody there.
No.
He's
See,
quite
but
underrated, Ryan Bertrand.
I quite like him.
I think he should be in there,
Yeah,
but
he's quite good.
I don't think Gary Cahill warrants being in there because he just hasn't been good enough this season.
No.
You know, with the likes of Christensen being a better fit, Rudiger playing better than him in some games.
Yeah.
I think with that they've picked experience. 'Cause he's had experience with the past tournaments.
Who?
Cahill. So they've gone for experience over how good he is.
They've gone for youth.
They haven't.
Yeah, I was gonna
he's
say,
not-
Cahill's not in the
not
squad.
it.
Isn't he in the squad?
He's not in the squad.
Oh,
no,
right.
no.
I thought the way Jack was talking, I thought he was in the squad.
No,
then.
but
I thought
no,
we were
no.
going over experience.
But can I just the one thing that I don't like in that is Joe Hart. How is Joe Hart in there?
Well,
Please, somebody tell me.
let's
Is
talk
there
about-
a positive for Joe
to
Hart
make the
being in there?
clangers, to make the games, that's why.
I wouldn't even.
To let the
I
ball
wouldn't-
go through them into the game.
The only-
He's picked 4 goalkeepers. You don't
Yeah.
need 4.
I agree with Pickford being in
unless
there.
you're playing, one of them every 45 minutes.
Unless he's playing Joe Hart up front.
Bit of a waste to pick 4 goalkeepers.
Exactly, because at the tournament you'll normally take 3, no more than.
Yeah.
I know it's only friendlies, but even so 4.
It's 27
It's a
man
lot of
squad, isn't
goalkeepers.
it?
I think that's a.
I think
that's
it
a-
is, yeah.
That's a big sign as to England actually lack good players in other areas.
They lack a
Yeah.
number one.
They
That's
lo-
why he's bought 4.
Yeah, they lack a number 1 for starters, and there's no depth in the attackers either because he's only got 3. So what's the rotation going to be on the attackers? Are we only going to play 1 up front because that's the system that they want to play with Harry Kane, or are we going to be playing 2 up front and having a deep lying base midfield? This is the problem with Southgate. There's still no set structure as to how he wants England to play. And it was what the point I was emphasising last week is there's so many influx of new players coming into the squad that there's no set structure as to how we should play. So how you think that we can ever go far in international tournaments beyond me completely?
Yeah.
Like I don't see.
I
it
agree.
happening.
My expectations
And
are very low.
Yeah, and I was looking at I was looking ahead at the World Cup as a group. If we're playing that squad, I think we may be lucky to get a result against Tunisia because that is an appalling squad for
That is,
Tunisia.
and that's our opening
Panama,
game.
Panama, we should get the result
Should win
against.
either way,
We should
yeah.
win either way. And then Belgium is a draw/loss situation at the moment with that kind of squad.
Yeah.
So then you're looking at England's going to finish second in the group, which means either playing against.
But who knows? If we lose to Tunisia, they'll beat Panama, surely.
Yeah,
And
it's a concern.
I've been saying this for a while. That Belgium game could be make or break for us in this
Well, it's
tournament.
all right
Concern
because
how much we're relying on Kane.
if,
Yeah,
if
it
Courtois is in goal, just shoot.
Kane in between the legs. In between the legs.
Either that or Simon Mignolet. He might flap it.
like it.
He can't catch the ball in the air, so just put crosses in.
You'd think, and Belgium thought they had the golden generation. Anyway, let's talk about the goalkeepers because I was going to ask everyone who you'd have as the number 1. This is the man who we're expecting between the sticks for every World Cup game. It's less than 3 months to go. We don't, until our first game, we don't know our number 1. Joe Hart, if you're listening, you're not in our number 1. I don't even need to ask these guys.
Adam's
You're
picked
rubbish. Oh, yeah, thank goodness. Adam, for once, has some. I'm not going to say anything. But the selection is between Jordan Pickford, Jack Butland, and Nick Pope. Let me just start off with only for these international friendlies, see how he's like under pressure because he's never represented England before. I'm going to have to go with Nick Pope because I think he's done really well at Burnley. He's actually done really well to replace Tom Heaton while he's been out for a very long time. And in my eyes, Sean Dyche has probably learnt from him that, if Tom Heaton's injured, I've got this guy. He's been so reliable. Burnley have been good again this season. They're going to stay up just like they had done the season before. A great manager. And Nick Pope has been doing all the great saves he's done for Burnley. And I honestly think, Tom Heaton's not even in the goalkeeper selection. Okay, it's probably because he's injured, but Nick Pope is just doing it for me. Jack, who would your number 1 be?
Mine would be the one with the best name, Jack Butland. Simply for the fact that he was actually looking to be England's number 1 before he got injured playing for England.
Yeah.
And obviously it's taken a while to get back.
Let's not forget he was the goalkeeper against Germany in the international.
Exactly.
friendly,
So he's taken a while maybe to get back to his best. He's with a poor Stoke team. I mean, I say what Conor said earlier that the defense around him is poor, which is probably why they're conceding so many goals. But as talked about earlier, when Joe was saying, would you have him in your team if Chelsea sold Courtois? Hopefully, I'd bring in somebody like Jack Butland because I think he's a young English goalkeeper, and I think he deserves the right to be England's number 1.
So.
Conor Porter?
Yeah, just follow up on Jack's point. Jack Butland should be starting for England, especially in these friendlies and in the World Cup in the summer. Out of those goalkeepers on that list, despite Nick Pope's form, he hasn't been the solid number one for Burnley since the start of the season. That role was Tom Heaton's before he got injured, I think it was.
Yeah.
So for me, I think Jack Butland should get the opportunity, because when he does eventually move to a bigger club, you'll start to realise how good of a goalkeeper he actually is when he's in front of a solid defence. So, yeah, I think Butland should get the number one gig.
And if anything, Butland will probably be out of the Britannia or whatever you call it these days.
Considering they're in a position where they look like they're going to go down, I think, this will be the summer where Butland proves himself. And it might even be one of those summers where you get that kind of player that plays really well at the World Cup and then he gets a big move somewhere else.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
that's true.
You know,
I mean, Ochoa did it for Mexico.
Good opportunity for him to get that move away, especially with Stoke's situation and the fact that they could potentially go down to the Championship. So, yeah, Butland, number one for me.
Joe Stanley.
Yeah, I've got to agree with the two lads.
You're going to have to be quick.
Jack Butland, obviously, he's been peppered with shots at Stoke, so the defence in front of him has been poor, but you put him in a top 4, top 6 side, I think he'd be a fantastic signing. Don't quite want him at Liverpool yet. He's on the 5-man goalkeeping list.
What do
so.
you mean you don't want him yet? You've got
I
Mitchell,
know,
you've got...
No, we haven't got Karius, but Karius...
Well, even so.
Want to lose a couple more games.
We've been linked with Alisson, so come on, Alisson.
Wow.
But, yeah, Jack Butland,
just-
fantastic goalkeeper. Do well in a top 6 side.
Don't wish what you hope for.
Should be England number 1 for the World Cup. Just briefly.
Okay. Adam, very quickly.
I'm going to go for Jordan Pickford.
Jordan Pickford.
Just because Everton's defence has been weak this year and he's managed to get crucial points from.
Yes. I feel as though he needs more time.
I at least give him a shot for the friendlies.
Yeah.
If you don't give him a shot for the friendlies,
I
I
think that's why I'm saying that for Pope.
Yeah.
Friendlies will help.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, there's 2 games. Put one each for each half, apart from Joe Hart.
The problem with me for Pope is that he's got that defence in front of him that's been pretty much fantastic all season. It's been quite a tight-knit unit at Burnley with Ben Mee and Tarkowski and Lowton as well. So, experiment a little bit more with Butland and give Pope that opportunity as well, but Butland for me.
That's it. That's it of the Let's Talk Sports show. So it looks like Butland out of us lot will be the number 1 goalkeeper come the World Cup in Russia. I mean, we won't talk about the politics side of it, will we? It's not going well, is it? The World Cup for the summer hasn't even started yet. Anyway, my thanks to Jack Price, Conor Porter, Joe Stanley, and Adam Davis, as always. Anthony Joshua's coach, remember. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you to everyone at home for listening and watching us on YouTube. We've been the Let's Talk Sports Show. Make sure you subscribe to our channel for more of our shows and, of course, our videos throughout the week. Anyway, thank you for watching and goodbye.